And almost every single mid laner, I'll look at them, have been spamming, Twisted Fate. Obviously, ever since Chovy played it, a lot of people, practicing that. So,
yeah.
Twisted Fate, though, as you say, off the table with the Azir. And so you get that trifecta, the Azir, the Talia as well, once you start to see those mid lane bans coming through.
And the jungle pool wide open, so we'll see if that's a priority for either side here, right? Beichuan a pretty solid start to the tournament, despite, I think, low expectations for him individually.
And top lane, which is the point that we were just talking about. So everything's open top lane. Gwen is up. Ooh, interesting. So they go with the Wukong ban here. I guess that drops the Annie priority a little bit, as it's one of the good pairings. But Pantheon is also a very good pairing. There's so many AD junglers that you could play with it, and already they hover a couple.
Debating what they want to go for. Annie, the utilities in, can be that early aggressive playmaker. BLG taking their time. On blue side, the luxury of first pick that they've set up for themselves, and it is the Annie. Pretty dang high Annie prio. Not something I necessarily expected. Knight obviously does look pretty great on it, and for G2, they have been focusing and prioritizing utility mids for caps. With Talia gone, that's one off the board. Maybe he can go for some sort of Ahri combo here, although it's hard to say what G2 want to prioritize and what lessons they've taken from that first day of gameplay.
Yep, Knight yesterday on the Annie, the Aurora, the Talia, a lot of those things that can make those plays, and here we go. This is the other one that we were talking about, though, when the Wukong was banned. Pantheon priority here, really, really high. That is also a very good SkewMond champ. So the response here, I think you should be feeling, pretty good. It's very
Kobe, it's okay. I appreciate you. After every play, after every pick,
it's not.
You don't have to check in on me. After every game, yes, please. The second we're off air, I need you to console me.
It's also a not an elimination series here. This is a promotion series. Sure. But there it is. That Aurora, again, a lot of these playmaking mids that pair so well with these AD jungles. Really quick to snap up here, and it looks very even so far. Some people have their favorites as far as these two champs do go. I am a pretty big fan of the Annie, but I'm actually a bigger fan of the Pantheon than the Zhao, so they're kind of splitting them there. And then the Rumble does come in from Bin, and they pick it a lot, but he literally said himself he doesn't like it.
Yeah.
So
it's weird because when you look at the expectations for these top laners coming into the tournament, Broken Blade did admittedly have a rough day one. You expect them both to be pretty solid in their respective roles, great at their best, but neither of them are Rumble players, which is unique for top laners in this tournament.
So you could see, what's his answer going to be? Is it going to, well, immediately we don't even have time to go over like the Galio possibilities, because the answer is indeed Ornn for the top side. And I think a lot of fans, after the performance yesterday from Broken Blade, will actually be happy to see him start out on kind of like tank duty topside, because yesterday was very rough, with some of the matchups that he did go into. So this one is pick for team, play for team, and very clearly they're just all in engage. Both sides here are going to have so much heavy engage.
Yeah, and I like ease of execution for the side of G2 after that rough day one, but I am still nervous. Even if Bin isn't the most self-proclaimed, most comfortable Rumble player in the world, we've seen how good Rumble can be. Even if the lane phase isn't dominant, the Equalizer brings so much power paired alongside that Annie. But now we head into the second ban phase. Braum, Kalista already off the board.
And even if he says he doesn't like it, it's his most picked and played, so. All right, so bottom lane here. The Braum ban, that does open up more of the Leonas and Nautiluses. Very clearly, counter engage will have high value in this series and in this particular game, Drakos.
It is weird though, because in years past, BLG, the counter to the Ornn would be the Braum support. But I can understand why. You don't want to give the Pantheon any more forms of CC. You don't want any more meatballs coming to your back line with a reliable piece of lockdown.
They're thinking about their engage, and they don't want their engage to get stuff. That's the same idea with the Xayah ban, of course, too. G2 don't want that going into the hands of Elk.
And so I think the interesting thing to track here will be, what does the rest of the composition look like? Because right now we essentially have two shotguns. Two compositions, great ultis can just blow one person up. G2 have added a bit more adaptability to the Ezreal, a champion who can get away, can play at arm's reach, can kind of stay away from the Rumble and the Annie threat, and thus, of course, they're able to find that creative angle.
It's exactly what I was going to say, is Xayah, the other really good anti-engage AD carry at staying safe is Ezreal, and Elk is exceptional on that champion, so it was really a must steal away for G2. Very good one to get into the hands of Hans Sama. The Miss Fortune, though, this one, big ultimate combinations here. Annie AoE stuns, Alistar setups for Rumble and Miss Fortune. We are going to have some wombo combos
Most certainly. And normally, you heard me complaining about it backstage. We won't get into it too much. I'm not a big fan of compositions that rely too heavily on just an Alistar for engage. But when the nameplate says on, I don't really care what he's playing. He's going to find the angles. And when you have that layered, that shotgun-style composition, he is someone that can make it work. The Leona now, though, both compositions, I think similar goals overall. But BLG have committed much more into this Wombo combo. The second G2 opted for that Ezreal, it feels like it's a little bit less about those high-impact ults.
Yeah, the Ezreal, and they have more kind of long range in Ornn Ultimate, obviously the Ezreal himself, but also Ornn Ultimate engages really long, and Aurora here has some pretty good possibilities of playing side as well. And when you have that Pantheon that they really index highly onto, it does give you more possibilities than just Wombo comboing. So G2, they have some more outs with a little bit of extra global help here for them to put more threats on side lanes later on and try and push more decisions towards BLG, which I think is going to be a good strategy. BLG are notorious for taking a lot of fights that they don't necessarily need to in a lot of positions,
and to be
they're
clear,
macro, so.
They're notorious for taking all the fights. Some of them they need to, some of them they don't need to.
Yeah.
This is a very aggressive team. When everything is clicking, as we heard from the desk, they look incredible. They have the hands to back it up, but sometimes the composition, the map state, the setup, it's just not there.
Yeah, when they can get some early leads, when they can snowball, boy, do they. Early skirmishes here, watch out.
Something we'll keep track of as we get ready for this game.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Again, not an elimination match, but still pressure on for both of these teams.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
We hear the Zhao's going up.
And this is something I love about the LPL fan base. I feel like no matter where we go in the world, they're always there to greet us. Zhao's fuel for this BLG team. Favored in this matchup, most certainly. But I think for both these teams, it's not enough to win to scrape by. You want to look dominant in this matchup.
Yeah, and the desk set up really nicely. There's going to be a lot of eyes on junglers for both of these teams. You know, international experience here, not there for either of the junglers. Both BLG and G2 have kind of had rocky roads this year, and the junglers here showing up on stage. We'll see. That's why we highly prioritize that, you know, comfortable Pantheon for SkewMond. Of course, it's out also comfortable for Beichuan here, but a lot of eyes will be on them. Day one, of course, from them. Beichuan, nice performances, especially with the bottom dives. Kind of bring back some classic BLG style when they had Shen on the team. You know, last year, MSI going for lots of bot lane dives. Not this time around, though.
Yeah, it doesn't look like we're going to see Xin 2 early on. Level 1 so far. Han's getting some solid autos down. Elk poking back, but Han's keeping that passive relatively stacked. Trying to keep those advantages going. Alistar, obviously, notoriously a champion who is super weak, level 1. No aftershock for the Alistar. Also going to make some of those early trades a little bit rougher, even if that damage reduction from the Glacial will feel pretty good as we go later into the game.
Yeah, so early priority for bottom lane achieved for G2. Very nicely here, good chunks. Alistar, of course, is going to help heal up the lane for later on as well, but both junglers will be pathing down there, so see how much they can pressure on and deny early. Plus, who is going to make the early visits towards mid lane? Because these two mid laners both have huge potential in this game and in this series, especially on these two champions. If you get an Annie ahead, you can roam around so much, make so many plays. Exactly same for Aurora. Whichever one does get the lead, kind of like can take that lead to the rest of the team elsewhere.
It's such a good value proposition for either jungler. If you go mid, you know you're winning more than just that mid lane.
Yeah.
But it's something we'll need to track. Important to note earlier, SkewMond was spotted on his clear, but so far no concrete information on Beichuan. I imagine they can guess it's a top to bot side clear, but I think BLG playing with a little bit higher level of confidence.
Yeah. And G2, good brush control from them. Sweep out the ward, continue to poke away here. But it is options too for level 3. Don't get much out of it. Nice little interruption there from On. Junglers not going to skip any camps too quickly. Looks like full clear completed for each of them. With the bottom side push, that Scuttle Crab is SkewMond's, but we get the recall pretty early on from Caps as well.
Yeah, Caps forced out in the early lane. Annie, I think a lot better of mana usage, a lot easier to use that mana efficiently. The refund on the Q. So
Both have good timings, actually. And the Dark Seal picked up here instantly from Caps with the boots.
Mirrored. Perfectly mirrored.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what we're talking about. Both these champs have the possibility to snowball. They both have the possibility to roam. They bought those items, Drakos, both of them, the exact same money, the exact same buys, and those are built for roaming and snowballing. You got the stacking Dark Seal, and you got the boots.
I love that it's mirrored so perfectly. Obviously, Caps gets a few more levels under his belt. The trades get a bit easier, at least
like
until Annie hits 6. Is now Broken Blade kicking things off. Brittle proc there. Been not too concerned.
All right, start acting. Can you look juicy? Oh, no mana. Oh, beta min. That's going to be too hard.
Okay, so the reset. G2 first on the lane assignment. Ezreal alongside the Leona moving top. Of course, Elk on the MF will have a bit more movement speeds thanks to the strut, but G2 ahead on tempo, at least for now. And now the TP bot side for Broken Blade. This is a FlyQuest classic that G2 have brought out here.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the benefits of the bottom lane pushing in and earning their early recall. Super nice for G2. So Hansama in a pretty comfortable position. And they do use both their teleports to bottom lane, so they are locked in down there.
Might mean we see a little bit less prio on the early Drake, or at least a few less members, as the bot lanes are unlikely to be involved. Beichuan picking up some chickens, taking his time. And despite the fact that both of these junglers can gank early, seems like they're pretty content to power clear at this exact moment. But level 6, we know, will be kind of the go button for both of these compositions, is at that point, engages are inevitable.
Exactly, exactly. And we have seen a lot of Ornn Pantheon combinations for ganks as a top side.
Hansama, not able to land the follow-up Q, but a solid initial trade. Good movement from Elk. See the Shield of Daybreak come out, but Labrov just can't get in range.
Yeah, looks like they will be able to sustain over there, but it is on the Xin Zhao to try and predict and try and cover those possible areas for the Pantheon, because you mentioned level 6s.
Yep.
Once Ornn has level 6 and Pantheon has level 6, that range of engage and follow-up is very, very massive. So you see Beichuan there, hovering and covering on that timer. Make sure that he is safe. And retaining, look at all this vision control. He's first into the river by Dragon, and since Knight's got mid-pressure,
SkewMond finding some additional damage onto Beichuan, trying to disincentivize any kind of dive, any aggressive play here. Does win out for now in the 1v1. Hits him with a thumbs up, Alpaca. We'll love to see it. But Knight, of course, does just drop a bear on Caps' head to make sure that he can keep this lane prio. And you mentioned that both champions want to roam, but Knight might be looking for a little bit more. Electrocute! A blinking Elbar! Now Knight slow! They're both still standing. There's a fight in the river in the meantime, but I do not care. Keeping my eyes on the mid lane 1v1, but the river might be important now, because it's Ben who finds first blood.
they get there first. The action just goes crazy through the river. Ornn ult there. Uh-oh. And meanwhile, Bin hits his. They get the kill. And it goes into Bin's hands as well on the Rumble. This is going to be some scary damage early on. Let's take a look at it here.
And SkewMond, overconfident in that 1v1, wasn't ready for Bin to be there so quickly.
Yeah, Bin, since he had the push on bottom side, he's up into the river first. And so even though both of them have long range ults, and Broken Blade tries and throws his out in support, it is not enough because Bin will flash for it. Is definitely worth noting though, he did have to invest his flash to secure that kill. And so we'll see if that flash is then punished by a SkewMond Pantheon ult towards him next time the Ornn ult is ready. Would be a little bit dangerous, but Bin now can play around his flash timer, try and be a little bit safer in the long lane.
Yep, and that was the explosion of action that we were expecting. Maybe not in the form we were expecting it in, but you highlighted SkewMond, now level 6, the potential to play to these side lanes, to show up anywhere on the map. Labrov stepping up, knowing that he has backup from SkewMond and Hansama. Caps no push in the mid lane quite yet. On the way in, Caps early Mercs is going to feel pretty solid in the 1v1. Will help mitigate some of that all-in kill pressure from Knight, but BLG hovering around the grubs, taking the vision away. And again, the combo is scary here. A grub taken down. Solar Flare doesn't quite connect. Elk able to walk away. G2 may just need to back off, and they are going to. Labrov, quick flash out. They recognize the power that Elk can bring to bear. A single piece of CC hitting very likely means a BLG win in the fight, so they'll concede the single grub. The second that initial ulti misses, as Knight off of cooldown keeps just dropping a bear on the rabbit.
Yep. Drop it for trades, drop it for pressure here. G2 do at least, as you say, get the 2 for the feats bonus there. But the gold advantage still, of course, in the favor of especially Bin. Since they had all this action up by the Grubs, Bin was actually able to continue to play aggressively into the Ornn down on the bottom side. But now that they've reset, he has to respect Pantheon ult. So he has. Nicely done here as they're able to track and play around the global. Because again, he still has no flash. Mid lane though,
it's global. SkewMond extra movement speed coming in from the Aegis is all Knight locked up, locked down. Tippers on the way in, but not doing a hell of a lot. Knight taken out by the Weirding, and that's what we talked about with the Pantheon, that long-range semi-global threat.
Yeah, exactly, and he has multiple options because the tower attempted dive that we saw earlier on, so Knight also didn't have his flash. So
Potentially a counterpunch coming bot lane, though. You can see pings down around Broken Blade. He immediately backs off, knows that he is on the weak side of the map, knows that they do not have enough information. But BLG, hungry to get something back. And right now that something seems to be Drake as they lay down a bit more vision.
Yeah, looks like they should be able to do, but the resets are coming in now, so will be the lane swaps as well. As you see the allocations, they're sending Knight up to the top side of the map right now. And Broken Blade matching. And of course, since both solo laners are AP solo laners on the side of BLG, Broken Blade investing so heavily into that magic resistance here on the Ornn to be able to deal with either one. Just sustain, sustain.
And I will say that Annie lacks in sustained damage, so that Kanik Rookerin, that's what he chooses to go for here. I imagine will be is going to be pretty solid as we see the engage on the bottom side. Labrov stepping a bit too far, but he does manage to find the lockup. Quick cleanse and a sidestep from Elf means he's A-OK on body blocking the Mystic shots. There's no follow-up. Labrov caught out and knocked down.
Oof, yeah, definitely a rough one here for Labrov going down. Another kill into their hands. Bin, with that money, he will complete his Landries. Thank you very much. Very, very happy.
And I think something we learned yesterday in the Rumble Ornn games we saw is the Ornn can get to a position where he's comfortable. He can survive some of those trades. The problem is Bin can equalize other people on your team, and that gets pretty scary, pretty quick.
Certainly does. Of course, Caps as well has invested in the Merc Treads. Again, both solo laners for BLG are AP, so he has a little bit, but definitely everybody else very, very worried here.
Taking stock of the game, only a 600 gold lead for the side of BLG. Neither side too close to getting the feats overall. Warfare right around the corner for BLG at the very least. So still very close, still very even. Top lane really the only notable gold lead in the game, and it has been pulling ahead somewhat as expected in the context of this matchup, but it's something that's going to need to be respected by G2 as we approach more fights.
Yeah, definitely, especially with the amount of CC available here. Again, the Alistar and the Annie can just hold people in place for not only Bin ultimate, but also Elk's ultimate. See if they can actually get that perfect combination, or if G2 will be able to spread a bit.
Need to see. And I think the other thing I have to call out is that Aurora, a powerful champion, certainly you see some of the best games of it in the LCK and the LPL, hasn't been the strongest domestically for us in LEC. We've seen good games, we've even seen good games from Caps, but we need to see that peak performance from him in this game today, especially when he's the one who got those early kills. Wow. And especially as Broken Blade might be in trouble. Flash forced out, Bin on the way in, he's blown the horn, Bin's respecting it. But Broken Blade is in dire straits. Ooh, tower aggro continues though. He might be able to get one back. It's the 1-for-1.
Even with the max HP nerf to Rumble, he just roasts on through this Kanik Rookerin Ornn. Absolutely melted.
Fight continuing on the bottom side though. Quick bit of lockup, but no follow-up. Beichuan, good use of the ultimate to stay standing on, immediately using the Unbreakable Well. Now the retreat going in, but it's capped off to the side of the Weirding, but they've just been locked up. It's a beautiful combo. Knight and Elk dealing a death blow.
Oh, Drakos, that is the juicy combo that they're looking for.
In the headbutt pull, Knight gets another. And it might just be a seal now, but the pages in the book might be coming soon.
Wow, right in that tri-brush. What a combo there. They get it just as soon as you finish talking about it, and that's actually going to be the Malignance completed as well. So here's another look at it. Beichuan and Ornn kind of kiting back in here. He drops the controller, turns around for the big combo. got them all. They force flashes. They pick up the extra kill onto Hans too with the chase. This is so massive for BLG because not only the kills, but getting those flashes as well.
And this is a situation where they get 2, but if they had another 300 gold, another half of an item, it would have been 3, no doubt. These are the combos that have to be respected. As you see, we can't stop. There are plays happening. There's not enough time to react to the previous play. Broken Blade, oh, the footwork is good at the very least.
Woo, that is one scary barbecue right there. He's gonna run away.
I like barbecue. I don't like being barbecued. I think it's an important distinction. As Elk now also with the BT makes Hans Sama's general strategy in the early game of poking to come out on top of this lane so much harder.
Yeah, and Rumble too, loves the new Bloodletter's Curse. Ever since that Bloodletter's Curse buff, that thing is insane. So you see him going into it with the second mask here, and you can just shred through people. Shredding magic resist for him and Knight, plus Malignance leaving those patches on the ground that also shred flat magic resistance.
Yeah.
It's when double AP solo laners can really build and help each other here. So BLG's damage really does not stop.
It certainly doesn't. And the thing that we talked about was Hans Sama. This is what stopped the composition from being all about ult all-ins on the side of G2, but he can't afford to get caught like that. He has to play perfectly on this champion if he wants G2 to come out on top, because there's no question in either of our minds, I think, that if he gets hit by any piece of CC, a cleanse is probably not enough. He's going to be in trouble.
Yeah, definitely going to be scary. Double sums down for Hans Sama at the moment, so I think there is no world in once they want to try and fight over this Rift Herald. Of course, the Rift Herald does have so much value, being able to knock down these outer turrets and progress the game very quickly. BLG not really worried about the dragon stacking, just want to continue to snowball, get that money, get the cash.
Keep things going in pretty comfortable control of the game. G2 doing a solid job of trying to cross map as best they can. It looks like it will be 1 tower for 1 unless the Herald comes down. And of course the Herald for the Drake. Soul coming through will be Ocean, which honestly isn't bad for either team.
Yeah, not too bad for either. I also envision a lot of team fights where people just get bursted down and don't have a lot of time to heal.
Yeah, that's not, it's not the dream. I think in this, maybe Mountain would feel pretty good.
Mountain would
Mountain or Infernal. Mountain feels great, actually.
Looks real nice.
Yeah.
But we will see now, with some side lanes starting to open up. Remember, we were kind of looking at, can this Pantheon Global be a big factor later? The range of Ornn ultimate, maybe there's some angles where, Caps gets to push on side and start to flank or something like that. Maybe G2 can kind of craft something once the lanes start to open up to fight their way back into this one.
And I think that is one of the strengths of Aurora over the Annie, right? Is her presence on a side lane. She's much harder to lock down. She's much more mobile overall. And alongside that Pantheon, as you highlighted, room to try to leverage that advantage. G2 laying some vision down on the top side, but will be spotted unbeknownst to them by that control ward. Caps now moves to catch the wave, and G2 might try to catch Elk. They see an angle, but Elk's movement clean thus far. Lockup from Labrov is there. Pantheon now coming in as well. Elk is already cleansed, but he's still been stunned. Pantheon is going to force the flash. Ornn Horn called, and this is the combo. Broken Blade sniping with the ult, but it's Knight looking for the follow-up. Waiting out the Aegis Assault for SkewMond, but he knows he doesn't have an angle anymore. On, though, may be the one in trouble. Instant use of the Unbreakable Will, and a quick retreat from the side of BLG as G2 are keeping the pressure up.
Oh man, Elk, that was very cocky. He really wanted to use that move speed, but under tower, actually, Broken Blade starts to take a couple tower shots, does flash.
Equalizer, decent amount of ticks here. Broken Blade might be in trouble. Where is he going? Herald on the way in, so he didn't want to walk into River. Broken Blade slowly being burnt down. Beichuan going in mid lane into 3 members of G2! And he is unconcerned! The Herald will not finish the tower!
We watched the Ornn get chased down. Well, we got a little drive-by side story here, Daniel. Beichuan goes into the turret. It's super low. It actually didn't quite fall. But we have Caps still focusing on the side lane turrets. Gets immediately back out to the side. He actually does finish it off. Of course, Elk will be able to return and finish this one. But again, out in mid lane, he gets teleported on 2.
Teleport. This time around, it's Caps coming to the party. Elk is fast, though. And G2 not going to be able to find the angle. Beichuan doesn't have ulti, but I got to respect a man who just goes in every time, no matter what.
Yeah, he sees him going after his AD carry, and he's like, get away from Elk. He chases him off. make sure they're not going to go for that play. Teleport goes down. Of course, the original one where Elk is just trying to, play with Labrov and be like, all right, Juke's chest check right now. They're trying to hands check at the moment. G2 did have a bit of an opening, but again, BLG extended their lead. It was around 2K, now up to 2.9 here, and taking down that mid tower.
And G2 are doing what they can to stay even in terms of CS and towers, right? They've got a lot of these side lane plays. They're trying to cross map where they can, but it just has not been enough to balance things out. A lot of that is just the kills that continue to go to bin. 4-1 overall. Whether or not he likes the Rumble, he's doing pretty damn good.
Hell yeah, he is. He is roasting them.
Yeah. And as you see here on the Coinbase gold grind, 3K from minions, 2K passive gold, 1,300 from kills. So this man is just racking up money.
All right, let's see what can they do on the side. Caps out here on the Aurora.
Beichuan finding initial knockup. Caps forced to use the ulti out. But that is kind of the escape power that Aurora brings, right? Maybe not as always reliably powerful as the Tibbers, but does give you the flexibility to be used as an escape. Hansama slowed. Engage on Hansama. Now moving back. Elk slowed briefly. TP coming in from Broken Blade. Likely the horn to be called. Everybody's invited to the party in the mid lane now. Elk locked up. Where's the follow-up coming from G2? They don't quite have the cooldowns. And now G2 trying to finish off this mid lane tower. Knight just now resetting. And it seems like BLG will have to concede it.
There it is. G2, the global coming in big. When BLG just want to continue fighting, they reach too far in mid. They go for a second play. Like Beichuan just ganked on top side, then goes towards mid lane. They get the punish with the Pantheon ultimate, so G2 cut that lead down.
Credit to G2 for finding those opportunities, for leveraging the powers of their composition, but it is some of the weaknesses highlighted on the desk, right? Some of the reasons that we saw games given to the side of G2, even when BLG feel like the heavy favorites, is because of that tendency to overfight.
Yeah, BLG definitely inconsistent this year, especially. So Dragon comes up, G2, they get their reset off. Caps is recalling at the moment, so he will be delayed.
Ulti cooldown's the other big thing to track. We're pretty far away from most of what G2 can bring to the party. If BLG want to push this wave and aggressively start the objective, they will be favored in terms of overall ultis, but Beichuan is going in. On with the initial knockup. Again, BLG don't really have to be concerned about counter engage here because they know the major cooldowns are not available. But Solar Flare around the corner will at least be something alongside Caps' ultimate. BLG debating. We know what happens if Ornn can find that multi-man pulverize. Easy ult follow-up for Elk.
And Hansama right now playing confidently on the Ezreal. He does have his cleanse, he has his flash, so he's going for poke, trying to use his range here towards mid lane, trying to soften them up before the fight, before the commitment.
Yep. Good use of the buffer on the Arcane Shift as well. Knows that he can play forward and doesn't have to be too concerned as long as he has that crucial cooldown. Caps ready to go over the wall if needed, goes invisible. Not quite clear where he's going. Ulti gonna try to escape, but the knockup is good. Weirding back into the wall will take him out. Beichuan incredibly low. Is he willing to risk the 50-50? 0.7, quick Drake picked up by the side of G2. BLG turning back to the mid wave. G2 have position on Otacon.
Yep, they do. And the Honey Fruit heals Caps up immediately, but a little bit too risky here. Otacon takes a long time. It is a heavy investment. It puts you in a very dangerous and precarious position. Precarious
for sure.
Yeah, when you are
precarious, all of it.
When you are facing that level of wombo that BLG have, you got to be very careful about shredding your own resistances on an objective.
Yeah, you like the Bloodletter's curse. Have you heard about the Otacon curse?
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty good combo. If BLG can find the angle.
Hello, can the magic resist go?
I think we can get to 0. I think we get to 0.
The magic resist limbo.
Yeah, it's not a game G2 want to play, so we'll set up some more vision on the top side of the map. Don't have much coverage for Otacon, but I don't think they're too concerned quite yet as they're already pushing in the mid wave. One of the advantages of the Ezreal, that extra range, that ulti means you usually can get mid wave in first.
Yeah, and remember the extra tools that G2 have, the long range.
Knight immediately flashing out. Doesn't want to risk anything. He knows if he gets caught, it probably is Otacon for G2.
Yeah, I mean, that regardless is such crazy good value for G2. Not having to worry about that flash from Annie greatly reduces their ability to get the dream combo. I mean, Alistar already is on Hex Flash, doesn't have the real one. So G2, very significant. Problem is, BLG roasts through this thing very, very quickly. It looks like Otacon here going down.
BLG know that if they give G2 the chance to reset, that they won't have that crucial cooldown. So they're demanding that G2 come to them. They're demanding for the fight, but they don't have the angle. Oh, no! From the bush, he finds the knock-up. He only locks the view. G2 now trying to retreat. Labrov on the way out, standing next to the wall, looking to find the lockdown. Hansama trying to lay down a little bit more focused fire, but BLG get the objective. They get the kill, and they walk away.
The commit from BLG is so good. They went over there instantly. They burn it down on hiding in the tri-brush, able to get over, get the engage. They pick off Labrov.
And credit to BLG, because if they wait for the full reset, both teams push mid-wave, they take their time. G2 have better vision, and he doesn't get to do anything in that fight, but they have Ornn on the flank, they have a good angle, and they just go for the throat, knowing that if they force the fight then, they've still have the edge.
Yeah. Feel a bit bad for Labrov. Of course, a lot of eyes on him,
Sure.
you know, on this international stage as well, with the changes that G2 made this year. So nice pick up there from BLG. I mean, getting the Otacon. They have 24 empowered flowers here, with giving the extra experience as well as adaptive force. Going to be so nice. Any extra adaptive force when you have this much burst damage?
Yeah, if their setup is good, it does just feel like a DPS check, and they are certainly passing the check now, as our observer's beautifully highlighting Baron. Just a few seconds away. BLG, Ornn specifically, has moved in to lay down just enough vision while the rest of his team resets. Although G2 are a bit ahead of the play for now, laying down vision of their own.
Okay, vision a good first step here. G2 are looking at, can we find another pick? You know, either way, they could try and get one by dangling some bait out somewhere, trying to bait BLG into a fight and then using their globals to collapse, or they could just set up vision and then be the ones, you know, looking for it proactively and try and send that way. But it doesn't look like BLG are going to give them an opportunity to do that, because they're literally just grouping here. Even Bin walked all the way up river on that mid wave to make sure that BLG would get mid priority so they can actually move over to the objective.
In respect to BLG for having the continued confidence to hard force, right? We saw that play in mid lane go awry because they didn't respect those semi-globals, but as long as they're grouped as 5, they're just walking into a 5v5 at the end of the day at most, as Labrov once again caught out, good lockup on the Knight. CC there, trying to take the AD out before he can open. Knight still manages to get it down. SkewMond in the fight as well. Caps, beautiful ulti across the team. Lockup on Elk, but he's still able to full channel the ulti! That shouldn't be allowed, but Caps can't get close enough to finish the job, and now it's Broken Blade falling as well. 3 down on the side of G2, and BLG, they're ready for a Baron.
Yep, that's going to be Baron for sure. Caps pops the blast cone. I don't know what shenanigans he could pull out here.
This one's fast. W flash, wind becomes lightning. They were already pretty much guaranteed to get the objective. They're happy to have Caps as well.
Yeah, they'll take the extra rabbit for free right there. Beichuan with the W flash hunts him down. They're going to get the Baron as well. BLG taking over.
And again, it felt like G2 were starting to find a way back into the game, even when the gold still favored BLG, but the bot side fight, the force on the Otacon into that mid lane play. BLG making it count now, massive lead for themselves, nearly 5,000 in their favor, and Elk hasn't even reset yet to spend his money.
Yeah, they even waited for Knight to respawn to grab the Baron to all get the buff, but here's another look at it. So they were focused on Knight down here. They do blow him up, but as you said, he got the tippers off, and there you go, another huge wombo in the back. Alistar combo, Elk gets a channel on the backside, even at 33% health, doesn't matter.
And we've heard the AD sing the praises of Ornn, but I think it has to be called out again. It is his combo that stops Caps from going to the other side of the ultimate and finishing off Elk. The only reason that ulti channel completes is because of the CC that Ornn brought to the table.
Instantly there with the knock-up. Beautiful stuff.
And he doesn't do any damage. Rumble doesn't do any damage. Those are the people that are the most fed, Kobe. Those are the people we talk about the entire game. BLG didn't even need them.
It's kind of crazy, too, because Miss Fortune is a controversial champion. Because you're like, oh, it's oftentimes hard to get your full channeled ult off, especially if you're playing against, oh, a Leona or an
Pantheon
Ornn.
or an Ornn. Yes.
These champions are exactly what she doesn't like playing against. But those ultis from Ornn and Leona were used to kill off Knight and lock down him. So that meant those things weren't available to stop it, you know, when Elk did get to start channeling. And as you said, Ornn as well with that CC, able to lock up Caps. So good stuff there from BLG. Of course, they take down the bottom side pretty effortlessly. And then they don't want to overextend at all. So play it very cautiously here, very nicely. Nothing left here to risk. Take your giant gold lead, go back and spend.
Definitely. And we look at the side of G2, right? Ornn getting more and more experience, more item upgrades coming. So for G2, to take another fight, to lose that fight probably means the end of the game. Waiting for a better angle, waiting for another opportunity. Hansama still not finishing that third item. Elk already on the way to the fourth, and there's no attack speed in this build. Normal for MF, but the last ult was scary before armor penetration was a part of the equation.
Yeah.
It's only getting more scary. One more combo like that from BLG, and this game is over.
Yep. Okay. G2 now, it becomes really difficult at this point because you just constantly get pushed in due to the nature of Baron and the giant lead here from BLG. So Ben can just hover this wave, buffs it up as it gets the tower, then everyone can rotate over through the jungle that they already control the vision for. And if you toggle the vision right now for G2, that would show how scary it is for them because the map is so dark. And they're trying to just find a way here, try and find any little shred of hope.
On a single Hex Flash, could have gone over the wall, could be a combo. You can't tell if Knight is waiting, and it's not like it was previously. That brief couple-minute window where Knight didn't have a flash. G2 don't have that edge anymore. Every single brush could be a death sentence, could be the end of game one for G2. Playing under so much pressure here as On gets the fight started. Perhaps over-eagerly, though. He's too low on health already before the fight breaks out. Unbreakable well, keeping him standing, but he's been sniped. Locked up, taken down by the bot lane duo, and it's Beichuan who's running. Pantheon going in. Has he overcommitted? Beichuan locked up. SkewMond taking a bit more time. Waits on the Aegis Assault. The minions in the base, though, demand a bit more attention. Knight can't just TP. G2 can't afford to push any further.
Really good punish from G2. On ulted so late there. He went for his combo, and then gets chunked down so low. By the time he ults, it doesn't matter. They snipe him out. They send the ultis there. G2 defend.
And again, because the turret is actually finished, if they wait a few minutes, if they hold, they can get the inhibitor back, they can get the turret back.
They kill off On, they kill off Beichuan here. Ornn is handing out upgrades, Drakos. You know, there definitely are possibilities here for G2.
Look, a Muramana, you need a super Muramana. It's not, you gotta go up. You need a higher caliber blue spear.
Or is it Muramana?
Muramana.
Okay. Just double. I don't know what the actual name is.
We had Fur Jojo earlier, which I'm not sure happened to be a double tag. So I feel like, yeah, you got to have the double prefix.
The Ornn upgrade names are.
They got rid of them.
They're pretty, yeah.
They got rid. I was sad, but as a play-by-play, also relieved because every time they reworked items, I was like, oh, this is another hour of homework.
Yeah, I was like, they're so obscure.
But I don't think anyone except for Ornn mains knows what they are. So Kobe, they can be whatever you want them to be.
Yeah.
You can just make the name up.
And like TFT players too.
Oh, TFT players.
All right, well, BLG here with their lead still. Can they maneuver this game into the enemy base? Topside tower is still very low after that last siege, and so they once again go into their split push. They push up mid lane. They go up to rotate through the jungle exactly as before. Elk is walking up that top line of minions, so they're going to go for the tower once again. Caps is recalling here, and this tower is so low, you don't want to die at this tower. These secondary ones are usually bait for the defending team to die at when they're that low, because your position for fights there is just so much more risky, so definitely advised to give that one up.
And TP from Caps, close to the mid lane. G2, I think recognizing the push has already come out from BLG, knows that they have to reset, trying to use this brief window of opportunity to reclaim some control over the map so they don't just have to immediately concede the Baron.
Yeah. SkewMond has his Guardian Angel as well, so Pantheon can full send. You know, when you have Ornn ultimate, if you see someone in a bad positioning, then you can go for one of those picks. But we just got full 5-on-5 in mid lane. Drakos,
Broken Blade, checking the position, ready to catch someone out. The BLG again, the flash is there for Knight. G2 have to be so careful. Everyone's fingers is on their flash key, ready to go out or in a moment's notice. Caps hasn't been spotted. Beichuan posturing down.
What is the over-under on Elk channeling another ultimate this team fight?
It's based on what we've seen so far, all signs indicate probably he will. But G2 will look to stop it. Initial engage comes in from On. Caps not able to find the flank.
Alistar ult is critical for team fights. G2 getting that ult out is massive.
Ulti now. They're going to try to force the fight. Lock up onto Beichuan. Ulti connects onto the 80 carry, and instantly they're into the backline. Caps manages to lay down the ult, but Elk is still standing. He shouldn't be alive, but he holds on just a little bit longer. There's no space for him to ulti though, and that is all that matters. G2 on the edge of death managed to find the fight.
They do it! G2 take him down. I mean, Ornn popping that Alistar ultimate and G2 just back off. They disengage. During it, there's a lot of minions at their base.
We can't see the health bar, but the turret
Ornn's
has
going back. Ornn's going
respawned.
back.
And G2 continuing the push forward, and this is crucial. BLG, one more good fight probably wins them the game, but G2 have held on. They're getting things closer. They're getting things back to even. It's only a 2K gold difference. 20 seconds.
Yeah. Inside the base. All right, Ornn, what can he do now?
Low health bars.
No ulti for him. He can't even get to that wave.
There's a wave unanswered in bot lane. If G2 lose this fight, it's an instant TP, and the game is over in favor of BLG. Ornn locked up. Alistar trying to clear. One tower down, but G2's eyes are set on the prize, the nexus of BLG, and it might just be a single fight. It might be a single moment. SkewMond, Poké Blade, they're trying to finish the GA. He doesn't have it. There's no way. The flash, it's not enough. Caps is already back.
Teleport the end. They're teleporting up there.
He has to end. Double TPs. Caps has to 2v1, and even then, it's probably not enough.
Here they come. The BLG solo laners. Knight and Bin versus Caps. All of these players are MSI champions. Knight on JDG, Bin on RG, Caps on G2.
Sorry, boys, this is personal. The rest of you set up for an objective. Caps goes for the ulti. Bin goes golden, buys a bit more time. Bear taking that health so damn low. Tower still standing, but Bin's already gone one. Labrov back up, 10 seconds on Hans, 15 on Broken Blade. Bin wants to finish the objective. He's not waiting any longer. Lockdown there. Minion's not going to do enough. Knight and Bin back to finish the game. BLG, get it done.
Oh, Knight and Bin show them how it's done. The double teleport into the end. BLG take game number one. That's just the beginning, Drakos. This series is going to be a banger. That was extremely exciting.
If that's a taste, I don't think I'm ready for the whole meal, Kobe. That was too crazy. It was too much.
You're going to have to eat up whether you are ready or not. Wow.
I mean, BLG, the fights when it matters, they always seem to find a way. Not without mistakes, not without weaknesses. G2 did their best to exploit them.
Dude, Nexus to Nexus on game number one. Whew. Yeah.
Incredible options. Bin, of course, headed back. And now it's time to send things over to the analyst desk. We've said enough. We need to get there.